He's dated some of the most beautiful women on the planet. Models, actresses, rising stars. His name has been linked with some of the most desirable women in Hollywood and beyond. He's a global superstar with decades of success under his belt, and at 50, Leonardo DiCaprio still commands attention in every room he walks into. But recently, he said something that stunned fans around the world. A quiet truth that speaks volumes about how he sees life, love, and himself. At an age where most people are either married, divorced, or worried about running out of time, Leonardo DiCaprio just made a powerful statement: he may never get married. And not only that, he's okay with it. Let's be real. Society is built on expectations. Go to school, get a job, get married, buy a house, have kids, retire. That's the template. That's the so-called normal life path we're all supposed to walk. But what happens when you don't follow the plan? What if you feel like marriage isn't the destination you're looking for? Leo's choice is stirring up that conversation. Again, because while it's easy to dismiss him as just another rich bachelor living it up in Malibu, the truth is much more nuanced. Everyone feels that pressure eventually. Whether you're 30 and hearing family ask, "When are you settling down?" or 40 and watching your peers build families while you're still figuring out what you want, the idea of commitment looms over adulthood like a shadow. There's this unspoken belief that something's missing if you haven't tied the knot. But what if nothing's missing? What if fulfillment doesn't come in a tuxedo and wedding vows? For DiCaprio, the topic of marriage has always been a sore point for critics and gossip columns. He's been called a playboy, a commitment phobe, a serial dater of women who, as the memes like to point out, never seem to make it past their 25th birthday. But even though those jokes have taken on a life of their own, the truth behind DiCaprio's romantic history reveals something much deeper. Something that speaks to his personal philosophy, shaped by trauma, purpose, and choice. Leo was raised in a very unconventional household. His parents, Ermeline and George DiCaprio, divorced when he was just a baby. While many separated couples go their own way, Leo's parents remained unusually close, choosing to live next door to each other so they could co-parent effectively. On the surface, it sounds ideal. Mature, balanced, progressive. But for a young Leo, it was confusing. He's spoken in past interviews about the instability and uncertainty that came with that setup. He saw love fracture before he could even understand it. He didn't grow up with the fairy tale. He grew up with a front row seat to reality. Love can end. Even when people still care about each other, they can go their separate ways. That stayed with him, and that fear of failure, of building something just to watch it fall apart, took root early. For Leo, relationships always came with an asterisk, a sense that things could go wrong, that permanence was an illusion. He didn't grow up dreaming of a big wedding. He grew up trying to protect himself from the heartbreak he witnessed up close. Then there's the career factor. Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't just a child actor, he was a prodigy. From What's Eating Gilbert Grape to the cultural explosion of Titanic, he was catapulted into a level of fame most people can't comprehend. Suddenly, the entire world was watching him. And when you live under that kind of spotlight, every decision, especially who you date, gets amplified, dissected, and judged. DiCaprio didn't just have fans. He had paparazzi following him to every restaurant, yacht, and private beach. Maintaining a relationship in that environment isn't just hard, it's almost impossible. Privacy becomes currency. And vulnerability? That's a luxury few celebrities can afford. Leo once said that acting is not just a job to him, it's his life. His craft has always come first. Directors who have worked with him often describe his relentless intensity on set. He immerses himself in his roles to the point of exhaustion. There's no room for distraction. One of his former girlfriends reportedly said that being with Leo meant accepting that his work would always come first. She wasn't being cruel, she was being honest. Leo didn't just date someone. He juggled them around grueling shoots, press tours, and award seasons. He gave his all to the screen, and often had little left for anything else. People forget how much pressure it takes to stay relevant in Hollywood for over 30 years. DiCaprio reinvented himself multiple times, from teen heartthrob to dramatic powerhouse to Oscar-winning activist. That kind of transformation doesn't happen by accident. It takes sacrifice, For Leo, marriage may have felt like one more thing to balance, one more commitment he might not be able to honor fully. Then there's his broader worldview. DiCaprio has grown into more than just an actor. He's a philanthropist, a climate activist, and someone who spends considerable time on causes he believes in. His priorities have shifted with age. He travels, he learns, he funds conservation projects across the globe. In many ways, he lives a life that isn't structured around traditional domesticity. He's built a world that thrives on flexibility, autonomy, and independence. And in that world, marriage just doesn't seem to fit. In a recent interview, DiCaprio was asked, yet again, about whether he'd ever settle down. Instead of dodging the question, he gave a rare, direct response. Marriage isn't something. I need to feel complete. I'm fulfilled in other ways. That sentence rippled through entertainment news like a shockwave. It wasn't just what he said. It was the conviction behind it. This wasn't a man who was bitter or jaded. This was someone who had simply reached a point of clarity. That idea, that a person can be complete without a spouse, is still radical in some circles. We're taught from a young age that the highest form of success is romantic partnership. Happily ever after is the default setting. But that narrative is evolving. Psychologists and sociologists alike are noticing a shift. More people are choosing singlehood, not because they're unlucky in love, but because they're intentional with their lives. They want freedom, growth, connection on their own terms. Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist who studied love and relationships for decades, notes that humans are learning to redefine connection. Marriage isn't going extinct, but it's no longer the gold standard. DiCaprio isn't an outlier. He's part of a growing movement. Celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, Ricky Gervais, and even Charlize Theron have expressed similar sentiments. They've experienced deep love. They've had long-term relationships. But they've also chosen not to marry, not because they're incapable of love, but because they've redefined what love means for them. And let's be clear, Leonardo DiCaprio hasn't lived a loveless life. He's had significant, meaningful relationships. Gisele Bündchen, Bar Raffaelli, Blake Lively, Camilla Morrone. The media often flattens these relationships into punchlines, but insiders suggest that many of them were sincere and emotionally rich, just not permanent. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the value of a relationship isn't measured by whether it ends in marriage, but by how it shapes you while it lasts. There's also something liberating about DiCaprio's refusal to conform. In a world obsessed with status symbols, luxury cars, designer rings, picture-perfect weddings, Leo's walking proof that success doesn't have to follow a script. He's charting his own course, unbothered by what others think he should be doing. And in doing so, he's opening the door for others to ask themselves, am I living the life I truly want, or just the life others expect? Of course, not. Everyone agrees. Critics have been harsh. Some accuse him of immaturity, of avoiding responsibility. Others claim his dating habits are superficial or even predatory. But those criticisms often ignore the bigger picture, that Leo has the freedom, the privilege, and most importantly, the self-awareness to choose a life that works for him. That doesn't make him selfish. It makes him honest, and that's the heart of the matter. DiCaprio's decision not to marry isn't a rejection of love. It's an embrace of authenticity. He knows who he is, he knows what he wants, and he refuses to pretend otherwise just to fit someone else's mold. So what does this mean for the rest of us? It's easy to look at celebrities and assume their choices don't apply to the real world. But Leo's story taps into something deeply human. We all want love. We all want connection. But maybe, just maybe, we don't all want it in the same form. Maybe there's more than one way to build a meaningful life. If you're single at 35, 45, or even 65, you're not behind. You're not broken. You're on your own timeline, just like Leo. And maybe instead of asking when someone's getting married, we should start asking something else. Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Are you free? Leonardo DiCaprio turned 50 with no wedding ring and no apologies. He's not searching for approval. He's not chasing a fairy tale. He's living his truth and inviting us to consider what our own truth might look like if we stopped worrying about what everyone else expects. So here's the question. Is marriage a necessity for happiness? Or is it just one of many options? In a world full of possibilities? For Leonardo DiCaprio, the answer is clear. And for the rest of us? Maybe it's time to start asking better questions. If this deep dive into Leo's journey made you rethink how you view commitment, check out our video on Keanu Reeves, another Hollywood icon who's rewriting the love story in his own quiet way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join the conversation. And hey, the next time someone makes a joke about Leo and 25-year-olds, maybe remember that he's not chasing youth. He's chasing peace, passion, purpose, and sometimes a really good solo vacation in Italy. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay curious.